Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop, Emerald Planet. All the ecology news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's your host, Executive Director of the Emerald Planet, Dr. Sam Lee Hancock.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. and the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And as we add another 2 billion souls to the planet, how are we going to take care of those that are already here? This is a question that's being asked many times by many international bodies, such as the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, United States Agency for International Development, and many other organizations. And also in the private sector, but yet in NGOs, non-governmental organizations, are having a great sway as far as how we're taking care of the people in developing nations, and also to learn how we can apply the principles of people living at maybe $2 to $3 a day back into developed nations who are actually facing economic straits and need to realize how to economize their resources and at the same time take care of ever expanding population base. We have someone as a true expert that's going to be talking with us today. This is Lali Chania, who is the Deputy Director of Health and Hygiene at an organization called the International Relief and Development, a very outstanding organization, and she travels the globe and doing many good things, helping literally tens of thousands, even millions of people around the globe. So Lali, welcome.
Thank you very much, Sam. It's a wonderful opportunity to be here and talk about our organization today.
Well, we're always glad to have IRD. We've had them on, as you know, in the past and doing great things. We're going to bring up this first couple of slides. There are some maps we're going to share with, but just tell us a little bit about what is the purpose of international relief and development?
The IRD is a nonprofit humanitarian organization and development organization whose mission is to reduce suffering of world's most vulnerable population and provide tools and resources needed to make them self-sufficient. We work in about 35 different countries currently, but have implemented programs in more than 40 countries previously.
That's incredible, 40 countries.
Yes.
That's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work.
Travel too, right?
Absolutely, it is. But also we are doing work in several different sectors and several different areas. Health is one of them, but we work in a very difficult environments, post-conflict countries like Afghanistan, Iraq, Yemen, those Sudan, South Sudan. So they are not easy places to work in.
No, they're very difficult, one, to travel to and travel around. And at the same time, while you're trying to actually assist the people living in those countries, you have to be very careful about where you travel and different communities you go into. But I know we have the map of Mozambique. I know that you have what's called a Women's First project over there. And I know that there are a number of donors and international bodies that are involved in this. What's so unusual about Women's First in Mozambique?
I think the unique thing about this program is that its focus is on empowering women. And world development community realized without putting women in the center of development, it's not easy to achieve change that we're expecting. And Women First, empowering women, giving them tools and resources, as I mentioned earlier, to become self-sufficient. It means that it means healthier generations, stronger families, and men, women, and children working together for their better future.
Well, I know this is one of the things that many international bodies are now focused on is women and children, specifically women. Yes. Because they are taking care of the families. In many ways, they're the backbone of communities. And there are many women that are head of households, and not only just in the developed world, as we know these days, but also in the developing world. So it's just like the women that we're looking at right here, is that they're having true impacts within their own local communities.
Yes, they do. And it's not just making them more self-sufficient, it's also making them influential community members, because by empowering them and making them valuable community members, we also help them to be change agents in the communities. They are heard much better by other community members because they viewed as a successful entrepreneurs who bring additional income to their families. They get more respect from their husbands, and they're getting more respect from other women in the community who look at them as a role models.
So it's this classical win-win-win situation
Exactly.
where you have these local change agents. And I guess it's somewhat, Lolly, the fact if you empower these women, they feel like they can make a difference within the local community, and then other women say, hey, I can do that.
I can do that.
Or the children themselves can say,
Exactly.
I can do that.
And even more, we now starting enrolling girls, 13 to 16-year girls, and we call this program Go Girls. So, and that also very
That's
important.
a cute name, Go Girls. I like
And,
that. Very nice.
Actually, it's Johns Hopkins University who came with
Really?
this idea and focusing on that age group of girls. And so we thought it was wonderful, and we picked it right up and started enrolling young girls in our program. But interesting thing is that this program helps them to stay away from risk behaviors and helps them to be safe and prevent HIV/AIDS infection.
I know this is one of the things that people have asked about, you know, with all the problems, you got malaria and all the neglected tropical diseases that we'll be talking about. Why did the Women's First program take an emphasis, a focus on HIV/AIDS?
You know, I can say that it's not really just HIV/AIDS, because some of the products that women sell, soap and water purification tablets, it's not just focusing on HIV/AIDS. It also helps mitigate diarrhea. It also helps mitigate some spread of some other communicable infections.
Yeah, anything
So-
that's a waterborne disease,
Exactly.
it's really terrible.
It's important.
And has real negative impact on the local communities because you're
Yes.
taking women and particularly children out of livelihood for the local community. And so if you don't address these
Exactly.
issues, no positive change is really going to happen.
Absolutely. So we kind of, when we enter communities, we always try to look holistically. What are the issues those families and women are dealing with? And we're trying to address them simultaneously at the same time.
Right. Looking at capacity building, this is the term that's thrown around in the international development community. International bodies talk about it. It's almost like sustainable and sustainability. We talk about capacity building. What does capacity building truly mean, and then how was it implemented within the Women's First program?
I think the capacity building, when we talk about this, it goes to several different segments of the community. One is individuals. We build the capacity of individuals to become more self-sufficient and learn entrepreneurial skills, learn family negotiations, how to sell their products, how to pretty much how to run small business. When we talk about other segments of the community, we also talk about building capacity of change agents, how to promote healthy behaviors, and how to engage communities in proper practices.
So what you're doing then, Lolly, is you're actually balancing not only just the environment, which Emerald
Correct.
Plant's all about, but also civil society and economic development issues, programs, projects, so that you're balancing among these various disciplines, but also attitudes within the community. Is that correct?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now-
And I also want to mention that Women First is not just about women. Men are as much engaged in this process as women, because we have several examples when when women have to do something else, they go around the village and they sell the products, they help their wives, they work as a team rather.
Well, looking at these products here, this is something that, we keep thinking about humanitarian aid and the fact of gifts and all that, but I think you've taken a very different model through IRD and the international bodies that you're working with. You're really looking for sustainable long-term development based on small to medium scale enterprises.
Correct.
And women providing other women as well as men jobs, correct?
Correct. And if you look also in terms of the sustainability of this issue, we work with vendors in these nearby small towns or urban settlements. So vendors who participate with our program, they have a much bigger outlet to sell their products. So it's their interest also to keep this program going, because if 70% of their profits come from this linking with this program, obviously they will encourage those women to come back, to get new packages to sell, and keep this operation going, because it's poor income for them.
Well, looking at the Women's First project, I think it's been reported that you're adding about $16 US per month to the average earnings of these women. And when you look in developed countries, you talk about $16, it doesn't seem significant, but I think it has a different magnitude in these areas, just like these women we're looking at right here. So what does it really mean to have an extra $16 for these families?
I also want to think about Women First is not just measured in a monetary value, because even a monetary value, I think keeping in mind the majority of people in the areas where we work with live on $1 a day. So $16 is a lot of money there.
Well, when you increase your income almost 50%, that's a huge impact.
Exactly. But I think there are some other unexpected results that we've seen about the result of this project, because we also give bicycles to those women. And those bicycles are used as a means of transportation for sick children very often. You know, we didn't think about that initially, but that's what happens in reality. We didn't think about increasing, man-women negotiation within the family and them working together. We kind of anticipated that, but it's wonderful to see those results.
Mm-hmm. Well, $16, doubling, not doubling, but 50% increase. Then you're adding a bicycle, which in these communities with almost no access to transportation, at least motorized transportation, that's a huge boon for each of these communities and these families.
We actually had several cases when women learn how to do business with these small packages of products that we're providing, but now they're earning much more than $16. We have several...
So you're being able to leverage that and expand that income then?
Absolutely. We have women who earn now more than $500 a month because they were able to go bigger in their business.
Right.
Obviously, not everybody can access that kind of market, but we had cases like that.
Well, Lali, thank you for being with us, and thank you for being with us as we talk about these very valuable projects and programs in the country of Mozambique and around the African continent. We're going to be looking at other areas and other countries about how we can leverage as we create the Emerald Planet.
Some dreams are universal, dreams that inspire us. Multiple sclerosis is a devastating disease that changes lives forever. The National MS Society does more for people with MS than any organization in the world. But we can't do it alone. To get involved, visit us online at nationalmssociety.org or call 1-800-FIGHT-MS. This is why we're here. Because nobody dreams of having multiple sclerosis.
What's wrong with this picture? Half of young Americans can't locate economic powers like Japan and India. 20% can't even find the Pacific Ocean. Without geography, our children aren't ready for the world. Geography is everywhere. It's incredible creatures, rhythm, fashion, flavor. It's economics and politics. It's change. Understanding connections between people and places is critical in the 21st century. That's why we created mywonderfulworld.org. Go there now for your free parent and teacher action kits and give our kids the power of global knowledge. Because kids who understand our world today can succeed in it tomorrow.
Hello and welcome back to the Emerald Planet. Thank you for being with us as we look at 144 different nations, looking at those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we move forward in the 21st century. I'm Dr. Sam Hancock, the President Executive Director of Emerald Planet and the Emerald Planet TV. And as you know, week to week, we're looking at how we're going to actually expand the resource base to take care of the 7+ billion people on the planet, and then to work with supranational bodies that are looking at how we're going to accommodate another 2 billion people as we go towards 2050. And I have someone who's actively planning for these new people while she's taking care of new citizens of the planet. This is Dr. Lali Chania, who is the Deputy Director of Health and Hygiene with the International Relief and Development located in Washington, D.C. Lali, thank you for being with us.
Thank you again for having me today.
And we're going to be talking about two countries, Cambodia and Laos in South Asia, and I have the map up here about this. And this is a very large area. So you're with a big organization, International Relief and Development, but when you start looking at the expanse of all these thousands of islands across Southeast Asia, it's incredible what you're trying to do. So tell us a little bit about IRD and why focus in Southeast Asia.
IRD is a US-based non-profit organization who is focusing on development arena, and we work in about 35 different countries currently, and Southeast Asia is a big part of our portfolio. We work in difficult areas and nations who need assistance to develop and improve their life standards. So obviously, when you look into countries with different health indicators that needs to be improved, Cambodia and Laos come in the line, and you think about those countries, especially for child mortality, maternal mortality, child nutrition levels. For example, in Cambodia, 30% of child population is malnourished. So
that just seems incredible. Here we are, we're moving along 21st century, and every country of course has its challenges, but when you think of 30% of the children are malnourished, which means they're probably not getting adequate health care and education, all these other services. And I know that through IRD and the international bodies working with you, that you're focusing all these different areas, but you're actually using food as kind of the base to get at these needs and meet the needs of the children, but also the adults. How do you balance all that to make sure this actually happens?
We work in several areas. First, we work with children under 2, where the major impact happens in terms of preventing malnutrition. And we work in the Kampong Chhnang province of Cambodia, for example, where we work with 25,000 kids under 5. And what we do is we bring the communities together, and we look at the children from those communities and see which children are malnourished and which are developing normally. And then we're analyzing what those parents and families do differently, because they live in same village and same circumstances. And we use so-called positive deviance methodology, where we bring those best practices and try to help the families who have malnourished children to start using those strategies to increase the nutritional status of their children.
We're looking at how do you balance the food, nutrition, basic education in all this. What is the magnet, I believe, and we're looking at these two very vibrant slides here with the children and the mothers all together. And it just seems like it's just everyone is almost moving towards, and you can, even in the photos, you feel the energy that's going on. So how do you balance the education, food, nutrition, and then also wrapped around that, of course, would be, very basic health care as well?
Actually, I took those pictures during my recent trip to Cambodia. I was there. at the end of April, and I attended one of the food cooking demonstrations. And that's from that picture, actually, from that visit. Actually, people are very eager to learn and to observe what is better for their children. We're all parents, right? If we know and if we see, because this project has been running for a while now in this area, and when you see the children who participate in program, they improve, they gain weight, they develop better, and some of them, when we talk about food for education type of programs, they have better academic achievements, more concentration during the attendance at school. You see benefits. You're a parent, you always see benefits of those programs, and you're eager to do whatever is best for your children, right?
Yeah, I think I agree 100%. And I know that there are many programs now that really they're targeting women within the localities. We've talked about this as Mozambique and other countries within Africa. So looking at the extra nutrition support going to those children, how is that actually a kind of a leg up training others to want to follow, emulate what they're seeing certain mothers and children are achieving as far as employing food, nutrition, and education?
We can talk a little bit more about the food for education type of programs, for example, to answer this question. We use U.S. government-funded program to bring daily food ration to children in schools. So what this program has done, it has increased school attendance from 70% to 86%.
16% increase of school attention. Yeah.
And even more, because we're using food ratios as an incentive for teachers to come and attend schools as well, we increase school teacher attendance from 56% before the project started to 96%.
My goodness. So the probably somewhat an unintended consequence is this huge increase as far as the number of teachers are attending school on a day-to-day basis. So how do you account for that increase, and what do the teachers see that you're doing with the parents and the community and their children?
One of the challenges teachers have in those communities that they earn very small salary, and they also have to work in rice fields, they have their own families to feed. So by providing food ratio, they pretty much substituting that extra income they should have to feed their families and taking that food and coming to school instead of going to rice fields.
So what they're doing then is actually the teachers are benefiting from this, also their children, that they're actually willing to stay at school, and then they allow other members of the family, because in Cambodia, Laos, they're usually very large extended families that are sharing the land and producing the food crops, both rice, but also gardening, vegetables, and also fruit in these areas. But I understand there's actually a take-home ration kind of program that you have. So it's not only you come to school, you have nutrition at school to learn, to alert the mind, and then also they can actually take a packet home with them. So tell us about that.
Yes, the reason why we have that kind of design in the program is to motivate parents to send their children to school. Same rationale, instead of having extra hands to increase their yield from their crops, they send their children to school, but they get the food back.
Yeah, and they see that the education really long term is the way out.
It's a way out. It's a kind of incentive for families to keep children in school, and especially it's true for girls. And during my recent trip in Cambodia, I've seen a significant number of young girls enrolled in garment factories. And a lot of them, instead of going to schools, they go to work in factories. And because they earn money, they earn money to have extra food for their families. So it's kind of alternative source of feeding a family for them to motivate girls to attend schools and finish their primary and secondary education.
Well, I think one of the neat things about this, we focus on the women, the mothers, and the families, and how they're encouraging their daughters, and also by extension their sons, to go off to school and But also, when these children start coming home, if I understand, Lolly, what you're saying is they have these food packets, and all of a sudden the father takes
Can
a great
benefit,
interest
yeah.
because now he says, okay, I can work in the rice paddies, and we'll get other adults within the family to work, and if the children go to school, and they can help supplement the food back at home, because if people are actually starving, it's and to have the willingness to go to school.
And this program also does more than just focusing on school feeding. It's also focused on making sure that community members work together to make those schools sustainable. We help school support committees. We work with them, and we work to improve the water supply systems in schools. We employ community volunteers to do cooking for us. So it's a very community engaged effort.
Well, I think it's just amazing what you're doing. If you look at this, where you have the adults, but also the children, looking at the importance, the impact of food, and also having supported sustainable nutrition within the families and coming through the schools. Actually, it just enhances the whole glow and the whole importance of education to the entire community.
Yes, and we also do very important component is a nutritional health education for those kids. And one of the interesting things we do is that we use entertainment education methodology. We have puppet shows, live drama shows, very easy for those communities to understand those. And children, I was watching those kids, they're like fascinated, and they're just watching without taking their eyes off the puppet shows. It's wonderful, and they're very engaged, very interactive process. So it's very nice to see those kids being eager to learn new things.
Well, I just think it's fantastic looking at these photographs, and probably you took some of these, but again, the teachers are fully engaged, and you look at the adults looking over the shoulder of their own child, and everything that's going on with in the community. It's just amazing what you're doing. But looking at the future of IRD and its own sustainability, what do you see for the next 5, 10, 15 years for IRD to help millions of young girls just like we're looking at right here?
Obviously, we depend
Gotta
on
be
donors' support. And we are hoping that donors will continue to support IRD so we can work together with communities to implement sustainable programs. And we definitely hope that this donor support continues for the years to come.
Okay. Well, thank you, Lolly, for being with us and sharing about what's going on with International Relief and Development, a very fine and a large organization headquartered in Washington, D.C., working with many international bodies. And thank you for sharing these interesting stories as we create the Emerald Planet.
I helped turn my child's public school into a whole new kind of school. One with a curriculum that really motivates kids. One that has extended hours, 6 days a week, year-round. With loads of academic, cultural, and recreational activities. One that has support services like medical and dental right there. A school where parents' involvement is encouraged. Where teachers have more time to teach. And students are excited about learning. There's just one problem. My child doesn't ever want to come home. You can help turn your school into a community school for excellence. Find out how. Call 1-877-LOVE-TO-LEARN.
It's coming. Right to your neighborhood. And when it does, you may be surprised. It's your Social Security statement of your benefits, and it's going to help you plan your financial future. Your benefit statement will tell you how much Social Security you're eligible to receive and when you'll get it. Then you'll know how much you need to save for retirement, because that's coming too. The future is in your hands. Choose to save.
The toxic fumes from this meth lab are seeping into Jamie's sinus cavity. Ammonia vapors invade her throat. Toxic gases fill her lungs. Jamie's body is deteriorating. And she doesn't even know it.
Jamie, dinner.
So, who has the drug problem now? Find out how meth affects you at drugfree.org/.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
As we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States, looking around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for the 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And of course, we have to look at the people that are making the difference on the globe as we prepare to go from 7 to almost 9 billion souls by 2050. And so we have some very special people that are involved in this whole effort and are looking at how do we take care of the people today, the 7+ billion that we have, and then at the same time to be able to accommodate 2 billion more as we move through the 21st century. But I have a gentleman sitting right beside me who is absolutely incredible. In getting ready for the television program, went back and did some extensive research and realized he's recognized by about every international major body on the planet. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is an important guy, so we got to get him on. But Andrew J. Koval is the president and CEO of MedPharma, LLC, headquartered in the greater metropolitan Washington, D.C. area of the United States. And Andy, welcome to the Emerald Planet.
Thank you. My pleasure.
I think we've been, 2 years now trying to get us together on the Emerald Planet, and it's great having you here, and you're doing absolutely fantastic work. And our mutual friend Jim Lanning of International Relief and Development said, we have to get you on the Emerald Planet, so here we are together. So tell us a little bit about MedPharma, its origin, and then we'll get into the various audiences that you've been able to serve over these many years now.
Okay. MedPharm is a generic pharmaceutical company, unique in that we are probably one of the most innovative pharmaceutical companies. We are privately owned. We are not public and never will be, because we wouldn't be able to do the innovative things if I had to respond to stockholders.
Well, I know this is one of the things that you've been able to do in working with a very large organization like IRD and dozens of others, is that, and that's why I think they come to you, because you're able to almost respond immediately and to take care of ever-expanding needs and communities. That's very rare.
We are, I think, very rare, but very proud of it. So I was saying we are a private company. I own 50%, my business partner owns 50%, and we have been one of the pioneer pharmaceutical companies in the area of what is now known as neglected tropical disease.
Yeah, this is a very interesting topic, this neglected tropical disease. Most people know about malaria, maybe even dengue and yellow fever, but there are a number of those out there, and these diseases literally just sap the energy, the resources of entire community, actually nations across.
When a special division was created at the World Health Organization, it was identified as 13 neglected tropical disease, but in priority, the 5 big ones are the ones that now receive the greatest amount of attention. And by a group of some of the brilliant people in the US and around the world, we were able to prevail upon Congress to set aside $100 million as a first US government commitment. And then under President Bush, that was bumped up to 250, and now under Obama, 450.
These are all millions
of dollars.
Okay,
yes.
That's a very important distinction.
And of the five, I think you have to first give credit to Merck, the U.S. pharmaceutical company, which in 1986 committed to donate forever a special medicine that they had created, ivermectin, and for treatment of onco, which is a disease caused by a worm that infects the skin and the eyes and is a major cause of blindness. Then you have another disease, lymphatic filariasis, sometimes known as elephantiasis, in which two companies, GlaxoSmithKline and Merck, committed to donate forever until it's eradicated two of their medicines, ivermectin on the part of Merck and albendazole, no longer under patent, by GlaxoSmithKline. And when I say forever, literally you're talking billions of dollars of commitment. And these are 100% total donations from these pharmaceutical companies. Then you have trachoma, which Pfizer has been a hero, along with the Edna McConnell Clark Foundation, and have created the International Trachoma Institute, and I believe I'm correct in saying that Pfizer has donated up to $200 million of their drug.
That's incredible to think about these pharmaceutical companies that are doing this in perpetuity and allowing to go in. So when you talk about these, we've showed slides of, you know, the continent of Africa, Southeast Asia, South America. What are the numbers of people that are being addressed in these three major regions, if we can kind of broadly think about it?
Let me finish first with the two big ones.
Oh, okay, we got two more. Okay.
Yeah, I gave you three of the big five.
Okay, let's do it.
The one that I am deeply committed to is what is called soil-transmitted helminths, or stomach worms. And according to the World Health Organization, 1/3 of the world's population is affected with soil-transmitted helminths.
1/3
Third
of the world's population of 7 billion souls.
Yes.
1/3.
Isn't
That's
that
incredible.
amazing? And it usually is preschool and school-age children that are hit the hardest. And if a child has worms, whether it be a roundworm, pinworm, or hookworm, and those are the three kind of big bad guys, that will impair the child's nutrition and mental growth, and be a great cause of absenteeism in school.
Well, and also, too, the whole thing about this, Andy, is that this goes on throughout the entire life because they fall behind in school, they're taking their parents or extended family members away from employment. So it's, you know, triple, quadruple negative impact in the communities.
So for the treatment of soil-transmitted helminths, we contract manufacture the two recommended top drugs by World Health Organization. One is called albendazole and the other is called mebendazole. With regard to mebendazole, now Johnson & Johnson have stepped up and they're now donating their brand name of mebendazole. Finish with schistosomosis. Cysto, and in Egypt and Sudan more known as bilharzia, is again an area where the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation committed a major funding through a grant to the Imperial College London. And we, MedPharm, were able to co-sponsor with the Gates Foundation, donated the donated drug praziquantel that leveraged the grant from the Gates Foundation of $40 million to treat 37% more than their $40 million would have been. So I'm very proud of that partnership.
And the leverage that you've able to bring to us.
And a leverage is a thing that I believe contributes substantially to where people commit more and more. On the private side, donations to NGOs that are doing these kind of wonderful things around the world. So now getting back to soil-transmitted helminths, I had set as a goal to initially reach 10 million. Then I upped that to 50 million. And then to my surprise, 100 million, at which point my business partner said, you got to be off your rocker. No one can do that. And
you're doing it.
No, right now I'm at 450 million that I've treated in the last 18 years.
Well, I want to go back. I want to go to this slide, not back to this slide, but I was telling people I know this fantastic guy, and he's done 48 million, and then I look at your slide, it's 421.7 million. This is an incredible number.
It is, but it would not be possible without partners.
Right,
okay?
Of course.
And my partners are a whole number of nonprofit organizations and foundations that are working across the globe in the poorest countries of the world. All of the UN agencies involved in health, so that would be WHO, the World Food Program, UNICEF, UNHCR, etc., as well as ministries of health that have seen the light.
Yeah.
And are deeply committed, because most of these diseases affect the poorest of the poor, and the poorest of the poor don't have much political clout.
Yeah.
They are neglected.
They're huge numbers. Let's look at this map, because we're almost run out of time. And tell us, what do these various colors mean, and the various regions of the Earth? What are we looking at here, Andy?
I have to put on glasses.
That's okay, no problem.
Sorry about that. Okay. I'm sorry, with my glasses, I'm still not seeing it well. But let me just say, looking at the map, I can tell about intensity.
Okay, and let's share with them.
And in some countries, you will have 80% to 85% of the children with intestinal parasites.
It's just an incredible number.
Almost anywhere where in a map you can see it's tropical, it's green.
Right.
There is going to be this high incidence. When a child is infected and excretes, the worms go into the soil, and another child coming along barefoot gets the worms. Right. There are other ways, a lack of hygiene, etc., that can contribute to that. But I want to talk now.
Well, we only have about 15 seconds. So.
No, then I can't talk. This would be a whole new chapter.
I know. Well, we'll get to that. What do you see? We got to get out quick. What do you see for the next 5-10 years for MedPharma? About 10 seconds.
We're committed totally. If I were to say, do I have a dream? Yes, 1 billion. I want to reach 1 billion before I die.
We'll do it. We're going to help you do that. Anyway, thank you for being with us. And Andy, thank you for being here. We're going to visit further with Andy. Thank you for being with us as we create the Emerald Planet.
This is firstgov.gov, where we're obsessed with getting you government information.
Brand new student loan applications on the site, baby. This calls for a celebration. Here's your uncle.
So in the end, it was either take the astronaut gig or come work here. What can I say? Duty called.
Dude, that's my cop.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure that's Sam's cop.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No. Sam's. No.
Just log on or email us and get what you need.
C, change of address form. That's how it's done. D, driver's license renewal.
E, emailing Social Security information.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice, we'll allow it. All right,
What are those?
Government surplus cars for auction.
You posted those online last time.
No, you did.
I'm posting them online this time!
For all your government information, firstgov.gov.
Oh, what have we got here? Sometimes you feel tired. You can't seem to lose those extra pounds off your midsection. And your joints hurt when you take the stairs. Well, you're getting older. But I'm happy to say that there's some simple things we can do to keep you happy and healthy for years to come. We can also lower your risk for some serious diseases the older population is often subject to. Proper nutrition is more important than ever. Your body has changed, you know. Not as many treats. A basic exercise plan, lots of walks and fresh air, and most importantly, come and see me for twice-yearly checkups to help ensure the best possible quality of life. Now, how does that sound? Good boy.
Improve the quality of life for your elderly pet. Schedule twice-yearly checkups that include preventive care and regular lab work. A message from the veterinary members of the American Animal Hospital Association.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello, I'm Dr. Sam Hancock, the President and Executive Director of Emerald Planet, the Emerald Planet TV in Washington, D.C. of the United States. And we're coming to you looking at 144 different nations, looking for the 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we move towards 2050. Because it is widely reported that we may have another 2 billion souls on the planet. And many people are saying we can't take care of those that are here now. And so how are we going to take care of the basic needs as far as health, education, infrastructure, and all the other needs that people have in local communities that already includes over 7 billion people? We have a gentleman who is sitting beside me that has a mighty dream, has been involved for many, many years. He's Andrew J. Koval, who is the President and CEO of MedPharm LLC in the greater metropolitan Washington area in the United States. And Andy, welcome to the Emerald Planet.
Thank you.
As we said before, we've been trying to get together for about 2 years now to talk about this, and you're doing fantastic things, and so thank you for being with us to share. Tell us a little bit again, kind of a quick recap of MedPharma, and then we'll get into the essence of what we're going to talk about as far as Ecuador and serving other at-risk populations around the globe.
Okay. MedPharm is a private generic pharmaceutical company that is a pioneer pharmaceutical in the area of neglected tropical disease, but we also cover all of the essential drugs on the World Health Organization essential drug list. We also have a division for diagnostics, and we try to then be responsive to the poorest of the poor by providing highest quality, lowest cost pharmaceuticals.
I think it's just fantastic what you're doing, and as I was teasing myself about this, I was telling people about, you know, how many millions, and it was like 10 times what I was saying about you. So please forgive me in advance, even though you didn't know I was saying that. But I know that you've made a very large contribution to Ecuador, the country of Ecuador in South America, and that you really are changing the face of what's called neglected tropical diseases. But I want to start off first, not with Ecuador, but what is neglected tropical diseases, and then how is Ecuador going to be a model for what MedPharm is doing around the globe?
Okay. There are 13 neglected tropical diseases according to the World Health Organization. And of those, there are 5 that receive the top priority. And of those 5, they no longer are as neglected because several of the big pharma companies, such as Merck USA, GlaxoSmithKline of Germany, Merck of Germany, Johnson & Johnson has stepped forward with donations of these very effective pharmaceuticals. And in most cases, these are not prescription drugs.
So these are really over-the-counter type drugs that can be distributed out into local communities?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so in schools, it's the teachers that will be distributing. In the community centers, it'll be the community center. Again, none of these drugs have any side effects that are severe.
So the whole thing about this then, Andy, if you're telling me, as you're sharing with me, is that really over-the-counter drugs are going through, in a sense, the school system within these low-income communities. All of a sudden, you're bringing the world into these local communities to address these various infectious and very devastating diseases.
And I've been able to do that because there have been a number of private philanthropic donors who have provided the financial support to allow me then in turn to leverage and to donate, in many instances, these essential neglected tropical disease drugs.
Okay, looking at Ecuador, I know this is something that you've been telling me about, you're very proud of, and again, it's world-changing what you're going to be doing in Ecuador. Tell us a little bit about that, and what are some of the changes that this is going to bring across the face of the earth, not just within Ecuador itself.
Well, going back in history, when there was El Nino, some 14 years ago, that affected, among other countries in South America, Ecuador was severely hit. And when the World Bank sent down an evaluation team, they found there were hardly any drugs in the central stores of the Ministry of Health, in hospitals, in clinics, and in pharmacies. So the World Bank put out an international tender, and while we're a very small, little generic pharmaceutical, to our surprise, we won more than all of the 30 companies that were bidding on the tender and became a major supplier of some 83 drugs to Ecuador.
That is absolutely incredible. 83 drugs to a whole country.
Well, these were they were a top priority,
right?
Established by the ministry in conjunction with the WHO and the World Bank teams.
Okay.
That then caused another happening to happen. My now business partner was then with GlaxoSmithKline and did what is the first ever debt for health swap in Ecuador, when Ecuadorian debt was selling on the secondary market for 13 cents on the dollar. So you could really do significant leveraging. And I was doing leverage financing for a number of US and international nonprofits. And that then, the GlaxoSmithKline debt for health was albendazole and treated several million Ecuadorians. That really began where my partner and I had our eyes open and saw the vision of what we are now doing. From that standpoint, going with Ecuador, a nonprofit organization, Ecuadorian, called INFA, which is the National Organization for Family and Children, did an incredible job where we started at 700,000, increased to 1 million, 1.5 million, 2 million, and ultimately reached 7 million children in Ecuador under that program. Now we're at a new phase. I was at the end of last year in Ecuador to sign agreements with the Minister of Health, the Minister of Defense, for a program that will now expand into the Amazon jungle, into the borders of along Peru, which hadn't been reached before.
I was going to say, and what you're going into there, Andy, is you're going into these at-risk population and these indigenous tribes, which in many cases end up getting nothing from the central government.
Those are the really, really neglected ones.
Exactly.
Yeah. And what's unique about this program is that with the support of a private donor, we're looking at not only the treatment of humans, but we will be treating domestic animals, cats and dogs primarily, and farm animals.
So there's no transmission of
we
diseases.
want to really break the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And also, the goal is to treat everyone, not just the children.
But also the adults.
The adults, because many times at these distribution programs, next day the mother comes dragging an elder son and her husband, saying, treat them as well.
Right.
Because she sees that evening the immediate effect of the medication. When the child excretes, the worms come out. Teachers within a week to 10 days see a brighter child, more responsive, and it becomes, in my view, the best program in the world because it becomes a people's program.
Yeah, people to people.
And in Ecuador, over the many years, every presidential candidate, whether it be right, left, center, said, if I'm elected, I'll increase the deworming program. And that's, the best sign of success when you have the people to people plus total commitment from leadership.
Well, I think the whole thing about it, Andy, is that you're bringing the teachers into this, the community leaders, as well as all the parents, because now they're seeing it's not only my child or our children that are being taken care of, but now I'm able to take care of the entire family, because you have this cross-contamination as far as food, water, and the soil that's around the compounds, around the houses. And so, like you're saying, is you have to break, that connection between the soil, the air, the water, animals, and the human beings.
And it is my belief that Ecuador will become the model country for the Americans and maybe for the world.
Oh, that's absolutely incredible. Now, we're running out of time already, but this whole thing about using these, getting at the neglected tropical diseases through these chewable peppermint flavored treatments that you have?
That's a medicine formulation.
Okay, tell us about it.
And initially, in the Americas especially, the one medicine that was generic was mebendazole, but it was in a small little pill with a strength of 100 mg. And you would give the child 6 pills over 3 days. These smell like hell. And the kids the second day and third day would throw them out. So we developed a peppermint flavored and chewable and single dose. And this is the MedPharm throughout all of our deworming programs. Whatever the drug is, we use the same MedPharm formulation. And now the kids are, say, when are we going to get our semi-annual candy treatment? Which is great. Again.
So you're really making them want to have that. But again, I want to go back and emphasize including the parents, the extended family members, and the teachers, because if you're now deworming and you're taking care of the teachers, actually you have brighter, more active and involved teachers involved with the children.
Yeah, it's such a win-win strategy that the World Bank has called this type of program one of the most cost-effective in the world. And I'm very proud because of the so many partners that have made this possible, and without them, it wouldn't have been possible.
Well, I think it's fantastic. And we only have about another 40 seconds, so it's going to be quick. What do you see for the next 5, 10, 15 years for MedPharm, and where are you going beyond this major breakthrough project with Ecuador?
Well, first, we want Ecuador to be not only a success, but a model country. We want to see it replicated. There are other countries where, without any public support, they've achieved that because of the will of the people. And there's one particular country that is a major island.
8 seconds left.
Okay, Madagascar was a case where when there was an overthrow in the government, no one recognized them and no international agencies. I was the only one that was present when there was the official inauguration of the program because diplomatically no one else could come.
Well, Andy, you're doing absolutely fantastic work, and thank
you
for being with us. And we are going to have you back, so we can't let you go for another 2 years.
I'll be pleased to come back.
Thank you for being with us as we look around the globe. Great.